Hi everyone, welcome back to the Etymon Project. Today we're going to be going through another NACLO problem. This one is from 2024 round 2, so it's kind of a step up from the open round, but I think this problem is actually one of the easier ones of the round, so that's why I labeled it easy. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so this problem is called In the Scottish Highlands, and we have our language here, Scottish Gaelic. And the problem has a lot of words in Scottish that we need to pair with their definitions in English. And they're all kind of themed with like mountains and hills and that sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. So how I start with these problems is I kind of look for anything that might be like unique or some pattern that kind of sticks out to me where I feel like I can have a starting point. So in this problem, I right away see that there's, in the English section, we have this of the and this of the. And I kind of think there might be something there that I can use to find what of the might mean in Scottish. So if I look on the Scottish side, I can see there's 3 phrases that have 3 words. We have 10, 12, and 15. And out of these, the only ones that have like 2 words that are the same are 10 and 12. So we can assume that 10 and 12 are going to be our D and O. And if we look closer, we can kind of see that this non-dom matches up with them. So it probably means of the stags because it's the same for both of them. So we can write in our definition. Sorry for the handwriting. It's so small, so I have to write small. And I'm sorry if you can't read it. But yeah, so then for the other word in these 2 phrases, we have meadow and rock, and we have innis and creag. And if we want to figure out which is which, we can kind of just look at which one only appears once, because meadow only appears once in this whole English column. So there's going to be one of these words that only appears once, and I think it's innis, so we can kind of just write in meadow. And creag appears twice, and rock appears twice, so that matches up, so we can write in rock. And we have our first 2, so we can write in D and O, O, and O. And we can cross these out. It's good to like cross out as you go, just to like make sure you're not repeating anything. It's also good to, I don't really do this all that diligently, but I've heard it's a good strategy where you keep a dictionary. I guess I'm sort of doing it with writing the translations above each word, but just to keep track of all the different words because it can be confusing. But yeah, anyways, moving on. Since meadow only appears once, we're kind of done with that word, so we don't need to worry about it again. But for rock, we can write in the other instance of creag, rock. Sorry about my pronunciation. I don't know how to speak Scottish, but if we have rock there and there's only one other word with rock in it, we have L, then that means that mahor must mean big. So we can just write in big rock, and that matches with L, so you can cross that one out. And then we have this new word, mahor, and even though this exact spelling doesn't appear anywhere else in the problem, there's 2 instances of like more, which looks very similar, sounds very similar. And even though you can't like technically assume they're the same word, in these types of problems, if it's like similar enough, you can just assume it's a different instance of the word or like a different, I guess, form of the word, but we can kind of just assume that this means big and this means big. Because yeah, just with these problems, they sometimes do that. So yeah, with that, we have 2 other phrases in the English side that have big. We have big red hill. One second, my pen. Okay, we have big red hill and big peak. And if we want to figure out which is which, we can kind of assume that the 3-word phrase is going to match up with the other 3-word phrase. So this will probably be big red hill. We don't know which is red or which is hill, so I can just write red/hill. And then for the other one, we can just write in peak. So sigur must mean peak, And we can just see there's a cigar up here. So let's also write in peak. And then cross these out because we figured out which ones they are. Can erase these arrows. Okay, so now we have, oh, let me just write in the letters so I don't forget to do that. B and G. Okay, so now that we have the word for peak, we can look at the English side and find where we have another peak. So it seems like our only peak is going to be this white peak, which means that Fiona should be white. And we're done with that one. And then from there, we have Fiona, which doesn't appear exactly, but again, there's an instance of it very similar. So we can assume that this Fionn is also white. And then if we look back in the English section, we have another phrase with the word white in it, which is white mountain. So we can put in mountain for Bane, I guess is how you say it. And this must be C. Cross that out. So yeah, it's a very repetitive process, but I'm just going through and seeing what I can eliminate. And sometimes there's a few where it's a little more ambiguous, you can't tell right away, but we'll get to those soon. So if we keep going, we have Bane as mountains. So let's just write that in for all of the mountains. I'm so sorry about this handwriting. It's so small. And if we want to figure out what the other words in these two phrases mean, teleoc and garb, we can look at, it's another step, but we want to look at this word, the, because there's only one instance of the word the. So we have to find which word, garb or teleoc, also appears with a word that only appears once, which is a little bit more complicated, but we can check garb first. So where else does garb appear? We can see it appears right here with meal, and meal appears again, so that can't be right. Meal cannot mean the. So we can go back to our other one, teleoc, and if we check teleoc, we can see that it appears right here with on, and on only seems to appear once, so that's great. That means that on must mean the, and teleoc must mean forge, which means we have forge mountain and the forge. So we can write in N and J. Cross these out. And with that, we also know that the other word, garb, means rough. We can write that in and write an F. And we're almost done here, so that's great. With garb, we have one other instance up here, like we said, so we just write in rough. And if we check back in the English side for what pairs with rough, we have rough, lumpy hill up here. And it does seem like, because this is 3 words, the pairing should be 3 words, but it also could just be that the Scottish have a word for lumpy hill. So male must mean lumpy hill. I'm honestly going to abbreviate that, LH. And that pairs with A. And now we can fill in all the other instances of lumpy hill. So we have one up here, and we have one down here. We have 2 instances in the English column of phrases that have the words lumpy hill. We have H and we have M. And if we want to figure out which one matches with 2 or 14, we can think about the words green or red. And as we can see, red will appear twice. So we have red hill and we have red lumpy hill. Whereas green only appears once. So we can look over here and we have Gorm and we have Dearg. And funnily enough, we have Gorm twice and we also have Dearg twice. So we're going to have to backtrack and think about whether one of these words could maybe mean something twice. It may seem like you messed up along the way or something, but if everything you've been doing so far is sound logic, don't worry about it and just keep going, because down here it says one word in Scottish corresponds to 2 meanings in English. So I think we've found that word. It's going to be either green or red. But yeah, we can kind of rewind to see what else we can find from the words we haven't fully looked into. And we can see that 15 down at the bottom, we know that it means big red hill, and we know that more means big. We don't know which word means red or hill, though. But we can assume that Carn Diarg, that phrase, must mean red hill. So if we look at 1, we have Carn Diarg right there. So we can just write in red hill for that. We don't know which is which, but red hill. And that is letter I. So we can cross that out. And now we see that between Mial Gorn and Mial Darg, the only one that appears twice is red. So red has to be this, which means that Diarg is red and hill is Karn. I don't know if I explained that well. That was probably confusing, but yeah, we can see that Diarg appears with Meal and Darg it appears in the phrase red hill. So we can kind of assume that Diarg must mean red. And then red lumpy hill must be M. So cross that out. And that means that the other instance of Meal must be paired with green, so Gorm must be green. So this is H, cross that out. And the last one is Blue Hill, which makes sense because this is a hill, as we found up here. And then Gorm must mean green or blue, which makes sense because they are pretty similar colors, so it's definitely believable. So we did problem 1. We found the correct correspondences, and I2 is about Gorm, so we can just write Gorm means green or blue. And yeah, that's the problem. It might seem kind of hard at first. I don't know. It's like definitely one of the harder styles of problems, I think, like where you have a mismatched column of words with the translations mismatched. I definitely struggle with these a lot, but it's very much a logic puzzle. And as long as you're moving through the problem with like logic that you're pretty sure about, you might have to make some guesses along the way with some of the harder ones. I know there's like a graph method that people use. I still haven't figured that one out, but I would definitely love to learn it and maybe figure it out so I can like teach it on this channel. But yeah, that's the problem. And hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you want to see any other problems. I'm planning on doing a few others from this kind of round and this year because I did them myself, so I feel like I have like pretty good experience with them. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you guys next time.